Hey, as you tune into this channel, as you tune into this video right here, here's what I want you to do. I want you to leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me if you think that Melly is going to get off this time around, or is he going to be found guilty this time around. This is the second trial. The first one ended in a mistrial, and we already know all about that. Welcome back to Hot Topics TV, y'all. If you've never been here before, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on Hot Topics TV. Today is August 5th of 2023 that I'm bringing you this update. So as of August 5th of 2023, YNW Melly appeared in court yesterday, which was August 4th of 2023. As of this moment, a trial date has been set for YNW Melly's new trial. The new trial is to begin on October 9th. We're going to talk about that date in a minute, but let me give you this article first. A hearing was held Friday in Broward County for the rapper YNW Melly, at which time the Broward Circuit Judge John Murphy III, who is overseeing the trial, has set a date for the rapper to be retried in a double murder case after a deadlocked jury prompted a mistrial last month. A lot of YNW Melly fans thought he would at least be out on bail or bond. There's a lot of free Melly, free that man, send that man home. A lot of these types of comments on social media. So it's safe to say that he has a large fan base and growing of a lot of young people who just wants him to be free. I don't know if they're watching the same trial that I'm watching, but a lot of them are convinced that Melly is coming home. The funny thing is, every time you see Melly, right, and he's smiling and laughing and whatever, he is also saying, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I don't know who he's speaking to in the courtroom, who he's motioning to with his mouth to say, I'm coming home. I'm thinking it's his mom that's sitting somewhere off in the wings, and he is trying to lift her spirits because he can see it on her face. I'm going to be honest with you. I saw a couple of video clips of his mama in court, and his mom just looks broken down and disappointed. Honestly, his mom looks like she knows that he did this, but that's her baby. That's her son. That's her firstborn. She had Melly at 14 years old. I think she was in the 9th grade when she had him. So that type of bond is deep. Of course, she wants her son to come home, but it's written all over her face, family, that she knows, and she is highly disappointed. That's just my assumption. I may be way off, but that's what I'm feeling. The 12-member jury panel could not reach a unanimous decision after 3 days of deliberation in his first trial. Broward County prosecutors, who had been seeking the death penalty, chose to retry the same case with a new jury. Of course, there are a lot of people who are saying, yo, Florida people are slow, intellectually challenged. How could they not have come up with the verdict? Well, we know now what happened with the one lady who some people were saying was put there to cause chaos, was put there to disrupt. We don't know if somebody placed her on the jury, but her decision to hold out 11-1 and then convince 2 more people to follow her at last minute, 9-3, in favor of the prosecution, of course, because it was 11 people on the jury that said Melly was guilty, and it was this one lady that was holding out. That one lady that was holding out turned it into a 9-3 when she convinced 2 others to come over to her side of not guilty. So it was still majority of the jury saying he was guilty based on all that was presented to them by the prosecution as evidence, be it circumstantial, be it electronic, or whatever. That's what they presented. A unanimous verdict is required to convict or to acquit a defendant. There's a lot of people out here saying, you don't know the laws. I don't know where you're getting your information from. Listen, a unanimous verdict is required to convict or to acquit. That means in order for them to say YNW Melly is innocent, he needs to be let go, they're going to need 12 jurors to come up with that and agree on that. In order for them to say he is guilty and he should be placed in prison and stay there, they're still going to need 12 jurors to agree on that. The part that a lot of people are confused about is when it comes to the death penalty. The death penalty, they will require 8 of 12 jurors. That is in the sentencing phase. We're not in a sentencing phase yet. We're still at trial. Okay, and the new trial date is October 9th. It's going to be pretty festive. A lot of people are getting ready to tune in to see it. School will be in session, so it's going to be interesting to see how the online response was. When YNW Melly's trial was being photoed or broadcasted, you could see it. Thousands of people were on the live video watching this trial unfold. With school being in session in October, while this trial is going on, they won't have a lot of time to be tuned into the live. So the people watching it live, the numbers might be a bit different. But that's neither here nor there. Judge Murphy twice asked the jurors to keep deliberating after they said that they had reached a deadlock, and they relented after they came back a third time. Prosecutor says that YNW Melly, whose real name is Jamel Demons, shot Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr. while they were all inside of the Jeep. That's the main focus basis of this prosecution's theory for their case, is that Melly was the one that pulled the trigger. They even have evidence, or scientific evidence really, because it's from forensics and ballistics and whatnot, bullet trajectory and all that, that tells them that it would have been impossible for YNW Bortlen to have been the trigger man, which puts only YNW Melly alive, only person alive still, of 4 people that went into that vehicle. And the goal is to make him the shooter and then have him found guilty in court for taking the lives of his 2 friends. Prosecutors said that the shooting was part of a gang action, while defense attorneys said that that claim is bogus because these were his brothers, these were his homies, these were his friends. Why would he have shot them? Well, we've learned so far, right, that there were many disputes that were going on inside the YNW collective between Sack Chaser and Melly. Things got intense quite a few times, even beef with Sack Chaser and Melly's mom. So motive could be money, motive could be them not feeling safe and feeling like Sack Chaser might have wanted to take them out, so they came up with a plan to take him out first. It could have been about that $16 million. I'm just not buying the gang theory of this. Now, according to the prosecutor, Melly, Williams, and Thomas, they were all riding in a Jeep. Bortlen Henry was the one that was driving, and Melly somehow shot his 2 friends from the back seat where he was sitting. They then staged this scene. After killing Williams and Thomas, prosecutors said that Melly and Bortlen Henry drove the bodies to an area that's near the Everglades. I want y'all to remember that they have tracking, cell phone tracking data that shows exactly where they drove this body to, out by the Everglades. This is how they were actually able to follow that information and find the spot where they say that this is where they got out of the vehicle, staged the drive-by by shooting at the vehicle, where they shot the back passenger and the passenger side of this Jeep up, from the outside of the vehicle to make it look like Williams and Thomas had been victims in a drive-by shooting. But prosecutor says the ballistic test shows that the pair were shot inside of the Jeep, and they're sticking to it, and they're not changing their story. I'm going to tell you what I think YNW Melly's attorneys should have done and what they should do now. Sometimes it's shoulda, woulda, coulda, but the moment is gone and you can't do that no more. This is one of the things that I think they should have done, right? So I think that Melly's defense team, they should have came up with a story like, we were driving down the highway, a car pulled up, and the car started shooting at us. Out of instant reflex, because we carry guns too, and this is the state of Florida, and we have a right to have our firearms with us. So we carry guns, and we were firing back at the people that was shooting at us. It was an instant reaction thing, but from the position that I was sitting in, or that Melly was sitting in, when he fired and tried to fire back at the car that was firing at them, he accidentally hit his two homies that were in the car. That would have put this whole case to rest. Yeah, he might have went to prison for a little while, but it wouldn't have been that bad because it was in self-defense and it would have been accidental. You understand what I'm saying to you? But just the fact that they're trying to prove against forensics, against cell phone data tracking, against everything that has been presented, they're trying to prove that against video, they're trying to prove that Melly was never there. Never, ever there. Now, that moment is gone. That ship has sailed. They can no longer go in there and say, okay, guys, listen, this is what really happened. They were being fired upon. Melly pulled his gun, tried to shoot back at the car that was shooting at them, accidentally shot his homies as well. And, you know, it's like when soldiers go to combat and they're shooting at the enemy, but their teams aren't moving right and the fire gets crossed up and they end up creating what's called a fratricide. A fratricide is when a friendly fire happens. So it could have been one of those cases. It's too late to come up with that theory. I'm saying that's what they should have done in the first place. What they should be doing now, in my opinion, and please remember, I am not this big attorney who knows all the laws and whatnot. I'm looking in from the outside just like everybody else that's listening to this video. What I think that YNW Melly's team should be working on right now is prepping YNW Melly to take the stand at his own trial if they will have a chance at him winning. He got to talk. He has to take the stand. He has to meticulously, intricately explain what happened that night, where his steps were. They still want to know. That last card that his attorneys pulled right before the mistrial, where his friend came and said, y'all might have seen Melly get in the car on camera, but down the street, he had stopped. We all stopped. He got out to pee, and then he got in a red SUV with us. He didn't get back in the car, and that was before the shootings happened. That's not going to save him. That is not going to save him. There is too much evidence, electronic evidence, too much cell phone data, tracking data that says different. So that's not going to fly. And let's not forget the testimony from Glass. That is not going to fly. I see YNW Melly keeps saying, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. If you notice, right, he's always smiling in court. I'm coming home. I don't know if his mom is in the corner over there and he's trying to lift her spirits by saying I'm coming home. But I remember one time watching a interview by the late King Von, and somebody, the interviewer, asked King Von, man, you've done a lot of prison time or jail time or lockup time in your young life. You've given quite a few years to the system, right? And Vaughn went on to explain how he did 2 years here, 5 years there, whatever. And one of the things they asked him was, did you ever think that you were like, you might get caught up to where you get a whole lot of years looking at like never coming home? And I remember Vaughn saying, nah, I never did. Always thought I was coming home. I always knew I was coming home. And they said, how you know that? And he said, because that's the mind state that you have to have. Pretty much what he was saying in a nutshell is, when you're behind them bars and you're fighting for your freedom, you got to understand that you are not in control. So you can't be behind there having doubts all day. Damn, I'm never going home. I'm never going home. It's going to cause you to wild out behind bars. It's going to cause you to completely lose yourself behind bars if you believe that this is the end of you and you're never going to get out. But you have to keep your own morale up by telling yourself, and keep your own faith strengthened by telling yourself, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I know I'm coming home. You can't let a moment's doubt creep into your mind that says, you know what? You ain't going home. You have to dismiss that at every chance you get. And every time you feel like your mind wants to say, you're never going home, you got to start repeating, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. So we see Melly repeating, I'm coming home, I'm coming home, I'm coming home. We might not understand it, but some of us do. Now, I'm sticking to my predictions. My prediction is that he will be found guilty at his second trial, right? This is a new jury of 12, and this is going to be pretty tricky. I said what they needed to do before on the prosecution side. They need to slim this case down. Stop with the whole week after week after week of testimony. That right there leaves everybody confused. Get to the main points, hit the main parts, do it with passion, make an impact, and the rest is going to be history. If you give it to the jury short, they will come back with a guilty verdict. That's just how I feel, right? Now, let's talk about the date that's been set for his new trial. The new trial date is October 9th, right? Check this out. Bortlen Henry's trial date is October 2nd, which means Bortlen Henry's trial date would be right before YNW Melly's new trial date. Are they going to push through and try Bortlen Henry before they try YNW Melly? Or are they going to try both of them together? Or are they going to just push Bortlen Henry's date out the way, try Melly first, and then go after Bortlen Henry later on? We don't know. This last courtroom meeting did not say any of that. They did not address Bortlen Henry. They did not address the timing of his trial, and they did not say anything about pushing his trial forward, trying Melly first, or trying them together. I was waiting to hear the prosecution say on August 4th, 2023, when Melly was in court, I was waiting to hear the prosecution say, okay, Your Honor, we've decided to take the death penalty off the table so we can try both guys together, Melly and Bortlen Henry. That's what I was waiting to hear. And then I was waiting to hear the judge say, okay, since the death penalty is off the table, we won't need two juries, because that's what the judge said before. The judge said before he is not willing to do it. He doesn't want to have two juries based on the fact that Melly has the death penalty and Bortlen does not have the death penalty. That would be two separate juries required to make a decision on both of these people. But if they take the death penalty off the table, then it's almost a surety that they could be tried together. I didn't hear the prosecution say anything about it, even though they were the ones that suggested it before. So what we will do is we will wait to see the next time they go back to court what happens next. I don't know about any other time that he's scheduled to be back in court before his trial date of October 9th happens, but I'm sure if it happens, we'll know about it. Listen, leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one, and I'll catch you on the next video. It's Hot Topics TV. I'm out. Peace.